ship, we have a problem. I'm running into an asteroid field and I'm not sure if I can avoid all of those asteroids. Alright, we've been hit, Meganoid. Mayday, mayday. Ship is damaged, Meganoid. I'm trying to land at the nearest planet. Hope you guys can pick me up there. I'm trying to land at a safe spot on this planet. Hey guys, this video is gonna be about that intro you just saw, minus the green screen part, but all the graphical stuff. That's what I've been working on this week. As I was trying to finish up a demo for this game for Steam, I needed a little intro. Well, I didn't need it, but I wanted a little intro just to set up the story and have you crash on the planet and then the game starts or the demo starts. It took me a little bit more than I thought I would. I thought it would be just a couple of simple things, and then it turned into multiple scenes and multiple things, and it took me more than a day just to get all that stuff up and running, and that time could have probably been spent better on fixing bugs and making sure all the gameplay is working. And the code is a lot of spaghetti type code. It started out like a simple thing, but it turned into a monster and beast. I didn't really use anything that was created for the game. It's just a lot of variables and things happening specifically for that intro and making things happen. The end result is what matters, and we have a good intro now, so that's done. Besides that intro, I've also been putting a lot of hours into drawing pixel art, because that background, as some of you might have noticed, and some of you thought this was actually a final background and mentioned it was ugly. The background was ugly. I know, I admit the background wasn't really pretty, not good to look at, but it wasn't done. This was like a 5 or 10 minute job, the previous background. And the new background took me a bunch of hours to get it right and more interesting. The funny thing is, I recorded this part, the drawing of a mountain, and this was the biggest time waster, drawing that mountain, adding the details, adding grass to it. And then I've decided to add a couple of these mountains, and I should have tested it earlier, because as soon as I tried this in the game, I noticed that there was just way too much detail in the background. It just didn't work, and the characters and everything in the front would kind of blur or disappear in that detail in the background. So all that work for those mountains was wasted. Those mountains are not in the game, they're gone. Well, I still have them on my hard drive. You'll never know when you need a mountain for something. But for this game, I decided it was best to remove them. And instead of these mountains, we now have more details and more information in the background while only using a few colors. And it looks just a lot better in the game. I also decided to have a parallax background. That means the further the background, the slower it moves, and splitting it up in a couple of layers. This just adds a little bit more depth to it. So the background just needed all this work done, because the first thing you see when you start up this demo is this background, the characters. It just have to suck you into the game and grab you by the thumbsticks or something along those lines. A large part of my week was pretty much doing all this: an intro, background graphics, and setting up a demo page on Steam so that I can actually upload this version. It's still not done, but by the time you're watching this video, it has to be done, because else this game will not be part of the Steam Festival, and that's the whole point of this. So besides the graphics and the intro, I've also been tweaking a bunch of stuff and testing a lot of stuff. Even though this game is far from completed, the things that are there need to be mostly working for people that dive into the demo. So it's been a lot of weird work, as if I'm wrapping up a game, but I'm very far from wrapping it up and I'm still in the middle of it. And while wrapping up all this stuff, I also came to the conclusion that I have a little problem with my schedule. The start of the year, I mentioned releasing a game in February, March. I did that, Snakecore, on multiple platforms. And then I hope to have another game done by May. It's now May, and this game is not going to be done in May. Obviously, it's much bigger in scope than I originally planned, but based on the feedback I'm getting on this game and the emails and the tweets and the YouTube comments and everything, this game is, we're gonna take a little tiny risk and push it a little bit further down the road in this year. So that's going to be probably around September, which also leaves me with a little gap in May because I still want to release something. And luckily we have another game that has been in early access for 5 months now or 6. Space Grunts 2. It's on Steam, it's available, but it's still in early access and it has been since November, I guess. Even though I'm pushing updates every week and it's getting better and better, and it's probably doubled in size since the release on iPhone and Android, it's about time to push it out of early access, mostly because Residual is a big game and it needs a lot of attention, and pushing weekly updates to Space Grunts 2 has just been getting harder and harder because it requires a lot of time, and I still want to push updates. I still have a bunch of good ideas, so I will push those updates probably, but they might not be happening every week, and just spread it out a little bit more. So in May we're gonna release Space Grunts 2 on Steam out of early access, which I guess you could count as a type of release. In that way I still managed to get my schedule and cheat a little bit. Alright, that brings us to one more thing for this video, and this is a pretty cool one. I've been working on a Switch game. Well, I haven't been working on a Switch game. I partnered up with somebody and we're working on a Switch game, or a Switch version of one of my games, and more games will follow. But the first game is actually... Alright, so the game is Meganoid. It's the reboot version of Meganoid, which is the latest Meganoid, and it plays extremely well on a Switch. We're now at 99.99998% done with it. There's just a tiny bug left and right that needs to be fixed. It's not big things, and the game is working. It's playing pretty well. So it's almost done and ready for release. However, I can't really talk much about it just yet. I'm gonna do a video on this whole Switch stuff pretty soon. But even if we decided to release this today, it's still gonna take at least 2 months, because apparently you have to then submit it to Nintendo. They need a month to test it and things like that, and then you can schedule a release date, which has to be a month later. So at the earliest, this is gonna be 2 months from now. And by the time that one goes live, I hope to actually have the next game already in development or importing to the Switch. I'm still gonna have to decide which game it is, but video on that will happen on this channel. I just wanted to share this because it's running, and I've been playing Meganoid a lot, and I'm sorry for everybody that played the game before. It's terribly hard and difficult and challenging. I've been dying so many times on my own game. I'm sorry, but once you actually manage to get something perma unlocked and you get there, and then it becomes easier and easier, and it's still a very cool game. So Meganoid on the Switch is coming. Alright, and that's it for this week's video. Hope you liked it. If you did, thumbs up, subscribe and comment below, and I'll see you next week. Bye.